thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Welcome back, everyone, for episode 443 of the Massenomics podcast. The Massenomics podcast listened and viewed by millions across the globe for over 440, now 3 episodes. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
See, I couldn't hear the end of the intro.
I noticed I forgot to click the button. It was right at the end there. It was too late.
You saved me with the point, though. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah. The old point system will
caught
never
myself.
let us down. Yeah. We've got a very special Q&A episode this week.
And you could say it's been a while.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Maybe more than a week since we've done a Q&A.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while.
There it is. Actually,
More like
when
that.
I was lifting in the gym today in the old garage,
Bare Naked Ladies came on?
I put on like 2000s rock mix, and it's been a while.
Stained
came on, and that was the first time. It's funny how I actually never hear more than 2 seconds of that song.
Yeah.
And when you let the whole thing go, it was really giving me flashbacks of you getting a haircut at the Arnold. That's just what my brain associates with actually hearing the song now.
Yeah. With Big Z watching me get a haircut at the Arnold from Big D.
Yep.
What an odd sentence.
Yeah, it is.
Of Zadrunas Zavickas watching me get a haircut and Mateusz Kielkowski.
Yep. While Big D from the Strength Co is just chopping away.
Yeah.
And Stain's playing in the background.
Bad news over here. I did something really fat this week when I was packing up orders.
What?
I was sitting in my chair like this and reaching for something behind me here in the fulfillment center. I didn't tip. I snapped something in my chair.
Oh.
So now if I sit in my chair, I don't know if you can
Are you
see
off
this.
kilter a little bit there?
Yes. And it's this is the first time I've sat in it for very long since, and I'm really not liking what happened. This chair situation is going to have to get fixed.
Business upgrade.
I'm trying to sit on.
Just take your chair from work and then say someone stole your work chair. And then say, do you still like the work chair? Like, is that still?
It's good.
It is still good.
It's really good.
It's like becoming one with you. It's just
It
getting better with
is a
age.
good chair. I mean, I don't think about it anymore, but it is a good chair.
That's exactly the point, right? You just don't even think about it.
Yeah. So, but I don't think I'm going to spend that much money on a chair for here. Actually, I'm quite sure that I will not be doing that. But what I am going to tell everyone about is Juggernaut AI. Head over to juggernautai.app. It is the training that Tommy and I both use. We'll probably talk about our training a little bit this week. We'll let you know how it's going. I am on Juggernaut AI. I'm on a hypertrophy block, finishing up third week of a hypertrophy block right now, so it's kind of some of the biggest numbers in that block. But if you want to find out more about what Juggernaut AI can be like for your training, check them out. Check out the website. When and if you decide to sign up, you can do a free trial. You can get a few weeks of a free trial. And then if you do sign up, make sure to use discount code Massenomics. That'll save you 10%, and we get a little something for it. And Chad over at Juggernaut gets a lot of something for it. It's really three parties that all get a lot of something, really. You, Chad, and us. So it's a classic win-win-win scenario. Juggernaut AI, you do have to sign up through the web browser, though, not the app, in order to use our discount code. Thank you, Juggernaut AI.
And this episode of the Massenomics podcast is also brought to you by our good friends over at SwissLink. Since 1995, SwissLink has been importing military-issue goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. SwissLink.com carries everything you could ever want from armed forces around the world. They also are home to the authentic Wavian fuel cans. They're made from 0.9 millimeters of cold-rolled steel, and they're the highest quality gas cans on the market today. The team at Swisslink has also added a high-quality water can as well, and they developed their own stainless steel water can to match the Wavian cans that are out there. It is made from 304 food-grade stainless steel, so you can trust it to carry all of your drinking water. The cap is knurled with good grip, and the spout screws into the bottom of the cap for convenient storage. This is another addition to Swisslink's exceptional collection and their dedication to quality customer service. Enjoy a 15% discount on your next purchase at swisslink.com by entering the code MASS at checkout. That's MASS. We'll save you 15% at swisslink.com. Thank you, Swisslink.
Thank you, Swisslink. Okay. So we did wrap up our 50% off sale. I guess there's just a couple of items on there that we haven't removed from 50% off. Most stuff is completely sold, but if you want to, you can check out our sale tab. There's literally just a few things left on there, and they almost all have either a quantity of 1 or 2 remaining for what's left on there. So
yeah, the sale was going hard, right away. People were getting after it, and I mean, all day actually, it stayed pretty fast and furious. But you were just saying, we were just talking before this. You said this is about the emptiest the shelves have looked in there almost ever.
The shelves in here are bare. Old Mother Hubbard went to her cupboard, and there wasn't a thing to spare.
Which is good.
Along came a spider and sat down beside her, and I'm mixing up nursery rhymes at this point.
They're all the same to me. But that is good that they're cleared out, because we have got a lot of stuff coming, with
big things in store, isn't there?
There is a little something called Black Friday, the holidays, Christmas, right around the corner. So we got to prep right now.
We got a lot of big ideas, don't we?
Yes, there's a lot in the works.
There's a lot brewing over here at Massenomics HQ, so just stick around, stay tuned, and you'll see what's in store for you. I think everyone's gonna like it. There's gonna be a little something for everyone coming over the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
Should we jump right into questions and answers?
Yeah,
while you're hearing this, we should just be getting back from our North/South Carolina trip.
Mm-hmm.
So be on the lookout for more content coming from that Carolina trip. I mean, a complete ass load of content coming from that trip.
An actual ass load. That is, that's
a large
not a metric
ass load.
Measurement. That's an American measurement right there.
Yes, an entire ass load of content coming in regards to that Carolina trip.
So this is, did we say this is a Q&A episode?
Yeah, this is a Q&A episode.
Whenever there's a Q&A episode, there's always a certain sound to ring it in. There, now I'm ready to do a Q&A.
Now it feels like a Q&A, doesn't it?
Yes.
It felt like a little something was missing, but now it truly feels like a Q&A. So I think we'll just get started right at the beginning.
Wait.
That's the first one.
Wait. Should we crack into a crispy one here before we get too far?
I think we should. I think you're right.
We're playing catch up right now. These are...
Yes. So we've finally got together with all of our Lift Hard, Live Easy classic beverages that were given to us. I think I got most of those sorted out. So hopefully, over the next several weeks, as we remember to be able to do this, we're going to get through these. It's a what's in the can segment, a true one. A lot of these are ones neither of us had before. So do we have the same one? Did we coordinate?
Yes, we do have the same one. I did not, other than the fact that you said puppers, I did not read a thing about it or know anything about this can. So
you don't know what this is.
I'm coming in blind to this one.
Not Shorzy. What's the name of the Letterkenny? This is what they drink on Letterkenny.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes, they drink puppers on Letterkenny. You've never seen Letterkenny, correct?
I have not. No.
So this would be a Canadian bruchacho. This came from Big Steve and Big Joey, our Canadian friends to the south.
Okay, all right.
Big Steve and Big Joey are south of us, correct or
yes.
incorrect? Yes.
Yeah, I'm just gotta look at the map again just to see like how far south of us they actually are.
And Big Steve's wife, don't tell me, I think I remember it. Sandy, Big Sandy. I knew it. I knew it before Joey spoiled it. I knew it was Big Sandy.
It is crazy that actually they're outside of,
Toronto
I'm
area.
just trying to see like latitude, longitude lines. They might be pretty even with me, which is funny that I'm 2 hours south of you, Tanner, and I'm still like even with them. This is how far north you are.
It's chilly up here. Actually, it's really, really nice up here. I assume it is down there too.
Really
It's
nice lately, hasn't it?
been like this weekend was some of like weekend evenings of some of those where you're like, oh my God, could it just be like this every day of my life?
It is. And even until noon, like you're just like, oh, it's just 60.
Yeah.
A nice cool breeze. It's hard to beat. All right.
So this is from Letterkenny. You've never seen it.
Nope.
I have seen some of it. I've never continued to watch it after my first run at it. And now I'm in a midway point where I watched like half of it, but it's been like a couple years. I don't remember where I was. I don't want to start all the way over.
It's been a while.
I don't want well, essentially, yes.
It's been a while.
But, so this is Puppers, proud, golden, loyal Puppers Golden Lager, the official beer of Letterkenny.
Oh, it actually says that on the can. I see. I haven't looked yet.
Oh, yeah, you don't even have.
I got to get into this.
It's also a pounder,
Yeah.
if you didn't notice.
Pounder, hardly know her.
Actually, it just says 473 milliliters on it. It doesn't even say 16 ounces.
Yeah. The 470er doesn't have quite the same ring to it as a pounder, does it?
No.
Yeah, it's just a good old light beer, right? Maybe a little more than a domestic light beer, but not bad.
Well, it's not domestic.
That's what I'm saying, like comparing it to a domestic light beer.
Right,
It's got just a touch
I see
more
what you're
to
saying,
it.
yeah. This is an import, so you know it's good.
Mm-hmm. Imported from the South.
What do you give that, Tommy?
I'm probably like a 3.5.
I'm going to give it a 3. I don't know, can't put my finger on it. It is not my favorite bruchacho. I mean, it's not bad. I definitely could drink multiples of these.
I could see myself putting a lot of these down, no problem.
But it's not, there's just a little, to me it has a little extra bitterness than, I don't know.
Just like your favorite IPA.
It's not quite like my, traditionally, what is my old favorite?
McGolden?
Not Ultra, but yeah, McGolden. Yeah, it's pretty good though.
Mm-hmm.
You can't beat Pounders.
Can't beat a pounder.
No. So thank you, Canadian friends, Big Joey, Big Steve, and Big Sandy for the puppers.
Thank you, guys. Good
We'll
call.
continue to work through these as we go.
I did see real quick, Keith put in the Discord, will Tommy ever decorate the wall behind him? I would like to, I was going to bring this up. Today, I took a very large step in that I actually put on my to-do list, set up studio, because unless it's on my to-do list, it will not happen. So
doesn't
just
happen.
the fact that it now exists on my to-do list means things could be in motion soon here.
You're like the Ron Burgundy, where if it's on the teleprompter, he will read it, and you're just like, if it's not on the to-do list,
I've had things on my to-do list for not many, but there's some things that have been on my to-do list for 2 years that I have not done yet. I have every intention of doing, but they're just still waiting. But it will happen. If it's on the list, it will happen at some point.
You heard it here. It is on the list.
Big Dylan, President of North Dakota, he can even attest to this. He sent me it was almost like a moral synopsis of the characters from True Detective. And it was like a 20-minute video essay. And he sent it to me probably in like January or February. And he goes, I think you should watch this, Tommy. And I'm like, yep, I'm going to do it. And it was just like a month ago. I messaged him. I'm like, finally watched it. He goes, wow, I got to say, I gave up on that so long ago. He goes, that's like the longest anyone's gone. Like
on a recommendation and actually eventually following
and
through.
there was he never followed up on it and asked me. And I never said a thing to him. I just said, yep, I'm putting it on my list. I'll watch it someday. And I finally did after like 7 or 8 months. I watched it. And he's like, that never happens. That he said, I was impressed.
Someone actually following up after that long.
Yep.
That is funny. Okay, let's do a question. If you're game for a question.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they don't call it a Q&A for no reason. Up until this point, there is actually no reason to call it a Q&A, but we're going to fix that. Yes. Q from Big Anthony, who I believe might be listening live here, so he's going to find the answer to his question real quick. Mount Rushmore of food joints in western northeast South
Okay. This is tricky because I'm trying to decide.
We'll see which ones we overlap and which ones
I'm
are
trying to
unique
decide
to our
if I want to do should I think of this as just the absolute 4 best places in town, or do I want to think of it no, I kind of want I need a fast food, a faster option, I need to have a good variety in there.
I see what you're saying.
Do you get what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I do. I guess Anthony did actually clarify that you have your druthers.
Well,
so
it's our show, so of course I have my druthers, but I'm just trying to decide how
nobody
I
can
want
take
to
those
do this.
fucking druthers from us, damn it.
Yes. Okay. So I'm probably gonna say this. I probably pick the circus for the wings. I really enjoy the circus wings. Which I was gonna ask you this: have you been there lately? Because you were on a little circus kick for a while, and I know you've been doing Schwannies hard. So I was just curious: has the circus been in the rotation at all in the past 6 months?
No, we only go to Schwannies now.
Okay, and we'll talk more on that probably later too.
Well, we're gonna actually talk about it now.
Okay,
because
actually we will forget. So yeah, we should. I think you said.
Well, I mean, it's going to be in my Schwannies. Spoiler: Schwann's is going to be number 1 in my Mount Rushmore as of right now. Schwann's Recreation, Mount Rushmore, triple cheeseburger.
Okay. So I think all right for me. I'm going to say the circus just because I really enjoy their wings and their fries. Favorite top tier bar food for me right there. 322 because I really like the diversity of the food. They have dishes.
Yeah.
It's not just your
It's
standard
good food.
Yeah, it's not just your standard fare. And then this is where I really struggle because I could say Pounders because it's good bar food, and I could also say Schwannies. The thing I struggle with is Schwannies.
It's kind of the same as the circus.
Yeah, so it's now I've kind of picked 4 bars. I'm if I'm gonna pick my favorite restaurants, do I really want to pick 4 bars?
Yeah. And Schwann's Recreation and the circus are very similar in many ways.
They are very, very
They
similar.
are like the same place, kind of.
Very. It's just like a variation of a palette, essentially. Part of me says I need a fast option, and if I'm going to do a fast option, I would pick Qdoba because it's just a solid chain for fast food. And then that leaves me.
What about Culver's? Or Wendy's? You like?
I'm actually haven't been a huge Wendy's guy in the last couple of years. Culver's has definitely replaced Wendy's in my book.
Yeah,
and probably because when I've been on the road, even with you through different parts of the country, I feel like Wendy's can be very hit and miss on service and quality.
Yeah, I think it's really sucked sometimes.
Yeah, where
Culver's is better.
I think Culver's is consistently higher across the board in their quality, so that's kind of ruined Wendy's for me a little bit. So I'm going to pick Qdoba as a fast option, and then so I have a bar, I have a fast option, I have more of just a sit down, nicer restaurant. Is there a wild card? I was gonna say I don't have any Mexican or Chinese food in there, for some variety.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just say Guadalajara as my 4th option.
Yeah. So you like Guadalajara's better than Mazatlan?
I've gone through swings, but I've been more of the last few years more of a Guadalajara's guy.
Guad's is better.
That's Super Burrito Manadero. That's what I'm all about. It's the only thing I ever ordered.
Oh, and Anthony said, what about breakfast? Well, there's not a lot of great breakfast options.
There's not really much for breakfast options. The old reliable is the Kessler's food counter there.
Okay, so I like your list. I'm also going to put 322 on mine. That was one that I was thinking of right away because in Aberdeen, there's not much else comparable to it, I don't think. It's just a little bit different than other options. So 322, Schwann's Recreation or Schwannies, if you're a local, if you will, was there again this week. The second we sat down, the cook came out with a giant smile on his face and said, "Oh, you guys weren't here last week." And me and Mary loved it. It was made our night. We're like, yes, they recognize us here.
So what day of the week was this?
Friday nights.
Was it very,
when we usually
okay. Was it very busy in there?
No, we can't get there until after kids are to bed, so we usually don't get there till 9. So yeah. I'm also starving by the time we get there.
But 9 could be hit and miss where there could be a hangover. I shouldn't say hangover. There could be a crowd from after work that stayed way too late. And there could also be people that are starting their night there. And there could also be no one there too. That's why I'm always curious.
It's never too busy,
okay,
but there's always people around too. It's kind of always about right. I don't want it to be too busy, but I don't want it to be empty because then it feels weird too.
Yes. Do you guys do popcorn when you're there?
No, I don't like
Oh.
popcorn, so that's
Oh
an
my
easy no for me.
That was like, we don't even sit down without getting our popcorn in their little bowls. So we'll just like do 2 or 3 right off the bat.
Yeah.
We're just hammering popcorn.
I mean, I eat so much food when I'm there. There's really no room for popcorn, if I'm being honest. The triple cheeseburger is
That is a lot.
yeah.
Oh, this is the other one I was going to ask you. I feel like we brought this up a long time ago on the podcast. Have you ever ordered the pig wings at Schwanni's?
We have talked about that before, and I have not. But actually, now that you mentioned that, I think I'll get
You got to get them as a
next time
side.
too.
Yes.
That's what I'll do. I'm
I
glad you
remember-
brought that up. That's a good idea.
I remember when I had them thinking, I'm actually shocked this doesn't exist in more places.
Oh, and I made Mary get the patty melt last this
yeah.
week, and she said, I like the Western better.
Really? Okay.
And I tried her patty melt, and I tried her Western before, and the plain triple cheeseburger is far better than both of them. I'm like, no, this is the flavor profile is all off. You're
always
messing up
think
the beef.
They cook the peppers and the onions so well. Maybe you got to get it like right when it's fresh.
I mean, all of them are good. I'm just really high on the
triple cheeseburger.
Yeah. And it just looks like obscene when I eat it, and the bun just gets soaked in grease, and it's just a whole. It's kind of an experience. It's not just a food. So Schwann's Recreation.
Well, and
322.
So you need to add in some. I want to hear your review on some pig wings this next time you go. Then,
Yeah, I'll do. I will get. That is a good idea. I will get those as a side. I don't know. I could make a case for Guadalajara's. Actually, you're kind of talking me into that. But the thing is, every time I talk us into getting Guadalajara's, we both feel sick afterwards.
really?
And I'm like, just like overly full almost.
Well,
where
that's
it's
the
like,
point of it.
I know. And then, I mean, it's really good at the time. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't want this again for like 3 months. Oh, wait, I am going to put Qdoba in there because I've been a big, long-standing patron of Qdoba. And that's like, I've eaten out in my life in Aberdeen at Qdoba probably more than any other restaurant by far. So it's got to be Qdoba. The fourth one, the Flame I don't love. So it's not going to be the Flame, but I'm thinking like if I wanted to go out and eat something like that, I guess I'm going to say Mavericks.
Yeah, and like that's like there's like 5 options.
Because the menus are so good at Mavericks is why I
the what?
like Mavericks. The menus.
Oh, yes. Designed by yours truly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Mavericks as my fourth option today. That one could be subject to change, but I think I'm going to say that.
And there's
lack of being
I
able
will
to-
say also that for me, there's like 2 options in there that I could also change out depending on the day of the week. I could very easily switch out the Circus for Schwanni's, just like you said, depending on how I'm feeling. Or even Power.
I could also
matter.
I could
It's
put
just-
the Circus in there too.
Yeah, it's just hard to put. If you're going Mount Rushmore, it's hard to go like all sports bars for all of your food.
Yeah.
You got to get some variety in there.
Yeah. But Mavericks is pretty good, pretty reliable,
yes.
pretty consistent.
Yes, if someone was coming to town, I could easily recommend that to anyone.
Yeah. Big Jacked and Ginger said, what are you all most looking forward to about Lift Hard, Live Easy 3?
Ooh, well, I am looking for. I'm gonna do some wood knocking right now into just like having a full, like good prep leading into this. You could say I built some strength on a very short prep the last time. I didn't even start my prep until April. So April, May, June. That was like a 4-month prep, and things went pretty damn good. Like I hit an all-time bench PR. I was at like 90% on my squat and deadlift.
And they were moving up.
And they were moving up. So
consistently.
I'm just really excited for hopefully building on the momentum I had there. Not off to a great start right now. I had a little bit of a setback, but that was the time to have a setback.
That's exactly right.
Like within a month of the meet being done, if I'm going to have one. So yeah, I'm just looking at building the momentum, and then obviously the new venue. I'm really excited for that. That's
a good point.
I think gonna add a lot to just the fun and the logistics of making things hopefully a little easier.
Yep, that's a good point. Maybe the real thing we were looking forward to is the friends we made along the way.
There also could be that. You might be right there, actually.
I'm gonna
take back everything I said. It's just the friends.
I am looking forward to the people now in our third year that are gonna get to come for their first time still, because there'll probably be a whole bunch of them.
There will be.
That get to come.
I
for
don't
the
even
first
think
time.
of that as a thing because at this point, I'm like, no, like everyone's
Yeah.
just a veteran at this point. But yeah, there will still be some fresh blood.
Yep. And that's pretty exciting when there's new people getting to experience it every year. Big Jake says, lift hard, live easy tattoo artist, ?
I don't get
Never
it.
say never. He have a tattoo artist at the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic.
At the Lift Hard. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Anything's
Yeah.
possible, man.
Big Megan, crew member, Massenomics gym member, competed at Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic, is a tattoo artist.
Oh, I was not
So,
aware.
yeah, so we do have a connection there. But if she's lifting, she might not want to do tattoos, though, either.
Might have other stuff on her mind.
Perfect Little Sweeties Jim says, do you want me to just take those rusty old Hondus off your hands? No, Bryce, you do not need to take those off of my hands. He did pick those up for me. And the guy that he picked him up from did message me afterwards, and he goes, holy crap, dude, you didn't tell me the mountain was going to be coming to get those plates. I'm like, yeah, I figured we needed someone that could for sure lift the hundreds. And he's like, yeah, I think you got it okay.
Yeah, that is. I don't know if you explained though. Like you did a little wheeling and dealing. So
I think I talked about it last week.
Oh,
I
did you
thought
actually?
on the podcast, or
Okay.
didn't it? But yeah, what I did was I bought a few pairs of Strength Co plates new and had them shipped this guy in trade for his York 100-pound two-faced plates from Flex Gym in Sioux Falls. And Bryce has them now, and he's saying, do you want me to just keep these old rusty
they're
things
in
for you?
deep storage.
Yeah. Big Garrett says, will Massenomics Gym ever move to a bigger space? Well, I would say never. That's not on the priority list. It's not even on a desired list,
Just
actually.
like
at
any
this point
gym,
in
it
time.
requires moving, which is would be the
God.
terrible part of it.
I dread the day, to be honest. That's something that could keep me up at night if I thought about
That
it
would
too
just
hard.
have to be the Lift Hard, Live Easy 4. It's like we moved. Everyone come for the weekend. All 100 of you are going to move this stuff.
all weekend.
Yes. Yeah.
So no, I actually don't even really desire more space all that much, if I'm being honest. I just think it's kind of like I don't need more racks.
Well, if you doubled the space, then yeah, you got to fill it with something. And then now do you just have an empty gym all the time? Because then you also don't have
I
that
could
many more
fill
people.
it, but there's not a need for equipment.
Well,
It's
that's
like,
it's like, does the gym gain anything from having 7 racks instead of 3,
Yeah. So not super worried about that. I'd be more worried about the burden of having to move it than anything. Okay, this is from Big Cody, Strongest Bird Watcher. What is the best beer you've ever had? Example, most refreshing moment. Not necessarily best actual beer or best quality, but like the best beer you had. Like, oh man, that day, that beer really hit the spot.
There's a few that stick out. And right up there at the top is probably when, God, I'm trying to think of how old I would have been. I was probably 21. So like it's still pretty damn exciting at that point. And it's like you're kicking off the weekend with your buddies. And it was like I was working on a farm. So I was working outside all summer. It was like 60-hour weeks every week, worked 6 days a week. And you were just grinding away all week, like so pumped for the weekend. And the only day off was Sunday. And like you'd get home on Saturday and be like, what are the boys doing? And my brother Ryan was already home and all the guys were there and like the beers were cracked. I just remember like the Bud Light Pounders, like we had this huge Bud Light Pounder phase and they're like ice cold and just ready to go. And it was probably like a 90-degree day after being outside all day. And it was like, just that one always sticks out in my mind is like, I remember thinking like, I never knew a beer could be so refreshing. Like this is the most refreshing thing I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
So I will now have 20 of them.
That's a good one. Any other specific, or is that,
I mean, those are, I could do some variation of that a lot.
right,
where
right,
just
but
like,
it's similar to that.
Yeah, it is like, it is something about, and they're good too, like in the wintertime, but something about in the summer when you're really hot, you've just been doing stuff. It's kind of like, after the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic, when you're like, God, I need a beer. It's sort of that same thing. It's just, I've just been burning away all day. And now, like, to know I have no obligations and I'm just going to be able to cut loose, like, that beer is always the best, right?
That's what I was going to say of recent memory. It was this year after the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic when I had that first one at the zoo. I could have drank like 4 beers in a really short amount of time. And it's even in the video. Actually, that reel went kind of viral. It has like 30,000 likes, and it continues to be shared. And that one has many hundreds of thousand views. Where it's just me saying, I need a fucking beer right now. I need a beer. Yeah. That was like a throwaway post where I just wanted something to post, and it oddly went viral. But that one, legitimately, that first beer tasted so good. I wanted it.
And I would say, thinking also, like you said, in recent memory, like to this year, I mean, that's up there. Similar to that is when I think of a lot of times when we're going to the Arnold, when you're like, oh, we've been driving for 12 straight hours. We've ate and drank like nothing. But what makes those ones a little less enjoyable is, you have a huge day ahead of you the next day. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, I can.
Those aren't quite as enjoyable. Yeah. It's not bad to have a beer too, but it's not quite the feeling of, there's something about when you're going to have a bunch of beers and you get to finally have that first one.
It's like, I could have one and that's fine. Or I could have 10 and that's still fine too. Like, I'm not going to pay for it in any way because I have nowhere to be.
Big Tommy Schneider says, what's a parody you've wanted to do but haven't, or one that you wanted to but didn't work?
I can tell you one right off the top of my head because I still think about this one. Actually, I don't even know if I want to say this because maybe we would do it sometime.
Oh, well, maybe we'll keep that secret.
Yeah, then. Maybe.
I'll say one. Buick Bulk. I always thought was a fun.
We've had that one sitting around for a long time. Yeah.
That's Big Alex. I think has been might be listening live here. I believe Buick Bulk. He could probably share that in the Discord if he's got it handy. That is one that's always particularly funny to me, but I'm not sure if it is a giant winner.
How many people really resonate with the Buick brand?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think if there's any other ones that really, for the most part, if we've had the idea, we've done it. There's only been, there's just this one. You'd remember it as soon as I bring it up, but there's just this one in my head that I still to this day wish we could do, but there were some complications around it. So,
okay. Big Tommy, also, since Carhartt is trendy again, is there a chance for a curl hard return?
We were just talking about this
recently. We talked about it today. Didn't we talked about it earlier today, actually, that very thing.
Yeah, we were saying that the curl hard could. Oh, there's probably a lot of people listening that have no idea what the curl hard one was.
Right, that's 2019.
Yeah,
that was the curl hard.
That was a little play on the
5 years
Carhartt parody. Yeah, I remember bringing those to our first Arnold, and it wasn't like a crazy seller the first time.
It didn't sell that well, so we kind of have the sticky taste in our mouth about
it. Yeah, there were some people that did really like it, but and
I kind of like it.
A few people were like, this is my favorite one, but it wasn't like an amazing seller, so we've just been a little hesitant to bring that one back.
Do you remember, you won't remember this, I assume, but the guy that came up to our booth in 2019 that year, and he's like, oh, I got to get that one. I want that. I need that one for sure.
I feel like I do. I remember there's a couple people at the Arnold that made a big deal about it.
But then he was like, yeah, my last name's Curl.
Oh, no, I do not remember that. No.
I'm like, are you kidding? I thought he was joking. He's like, no, that's my last name, Curl. I need that one, Curl Hard.
No, I do not actually remember that. I just remember like Jonathan. That was the first time we met the Alabama guys. And I remember Jonathan, I think he was like, that's actually one of my favorite ones. That's just like an amazing shirt. Yeah.
I think I'd like to see that one come back if there was a demand. Big Hornsby says, which 2 celebrities would you choose to replace you on the podcast for 1 week?
Good question. Tanner, I'll let you go. I have an idea, but I'll let you go first in this one.
Oh boy.
Unless you really want me to go.
You might have to go. I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Are we both having celebrity stand-ins, or like you have to podcast with a celebrity for a week and then I have to podcast with one for a week?
Well, I think it's 2 celebrities that completely take over for us. Or I guess we have our druthers.
There would be something really funny in my mind that would just really bring me a lot of joy, is if Matthew McConaughey did kind of a character study on me. And then like took it to like Matthew McConaughey land where he really like amped it up a little bit, because you get done with the whole podcast and you're like, dude, I don't even know what you said ever. Like none of that even makes sense.
Yes, that is good. I like that. And then who would be the other one?
Oh, boy, who would be your guy?
I like Matthew McConaughey answer. Honestly, that's pretty good. And like, I would like it if it was me and him as you, and he like does his wacky version of you.
It just
And I'm like, what are you saying, Tommy?
The Texas Power Bars, Weasels, Wazoo. He literally didn't advertise them at all. He just said some made up words, man. Who would be the other good one? I think.
There's the bulk logo that.
Oh, you did find it.
Like, sure.
The bulk logo has made an appearance in the Discord. Who else would be a good?
I'm just thinking like
a good wild card.
Yeah. The only thing that's coming to my mind is Will Ferrell, just because of the relevance of
that would be funny too.
Massenomics folklore.
That'd be funny. That'd be a good performing episode. Will Ferrell and Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, that'd go good. No, I know. Woody Nelson. There we go.
Okay.
The cast of True Detective.
Wait, are we just doing True? Yeah. Yeah.
Is this like the unofficial sequel to True Detective?
Yeah. Okay, I'm sold on that since I've seen that. Next one from Penny Pinching Sartorial. Go watch a few videos from the account MK009580. Is that what life is like in South Dakota? I don't know that account.
Is this on YouTube or Instagram, are they saying?
I assume Instagram. I don't know. MK009580.
I'm just typing it in right now on the old computer box.
And he says, is that what life in South Dakota is like? 9580.
Okay, I have found the account.
Anything there? Is it a big account?
No, it's 110 posts, 8,000 followers. And it really, I think it's just a guy on his farm in Iowa.
Just farming and stuff?
It's very...
if you're a farmer, that's what life is like in South Dakota for sure.
Yeah. This just looks like a guy that could be any one of us could have went to high school with, and he just has clips on his farm. A lot of them have like 4 likes on them. It's kind of crazy that he somehow has 6,000 followers. The more recent ones have a few more likes, but yeah, for the most part, it's just him driving around like old tractors. They're looks like doing hay here. Got some haylage going. Yeah, that's I definitely lived this lifestyle for a couple of years as a laborer, as a lot of people in South Dakota have. So I can relate to this a little bit.
Yeah, he is getting his hay in the barn, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Looks like we got some puppies here. Yeah, looks definitely went to high school with some people that still live this lifestyle. So,
Big Tyler Effenston E says, "Give us a Lift Hard Live 3Z update."
Oh well,
Lift Hard Live 3Z.
Yeah, the update is it's at the Ramcota, right?
Yep. Ramcota.
That's about all we got for now. Looks like we've seen some in the Discord, some receipts. People are already booking their rooms.
Go ahead and get your rooms booked at Ramcota. There is a block rate, but it's more expensive than you can just book online. So
I never asked. Did you ever follow up on that and get the?
Yeah,
the
I did. She basically said, "Oh, if it's cheaper online, you can just have everyone book online." I'm like, "Oh, it's not normally how this whole thing is supposed to work, but sure, whatever."
Okay. Well, there was some people that were sharing their booking engines of choice that looked like they were getting some decent rates out of it. So
yeah. That's otherwise update. We kind of no update beyond what we've already shared on the podcast before. There will be powerlifting. There will be strongman. It will be at the Ramcota. It will be July 19th, 2025. Registration will probably open sometime in November. More details to come on that. And there will be a Friday night party at my house again. There will be a Thursday evening supper drinking again. And I think that'll probably be at Loggers instead of Pounders.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be a Saturday night party again, of course, and that'll either be at the zoo or the Ramcota was actually a suggested option that isn't completely crazy, I guess. So we don't know much more of those details yet, though. That's to come. Coming soon. Okay. Big Steve Taylor says, have you ever considered having Thomas Sowell on the podcast to discuss the economics side of things? I don't know who that is.
Is he
an economist?
Yeah.
So no, the short answer is no, we have not considered that. Nor have we considered having anyone on to talk about the economy. We're kind of a little more lax on the economics side.
Yeah, I will say though, as a side note, I have become much more fascinated with economics as I have gotten older because there's just something about it. I don't know if it's like a psychology thing where again, it comes down to the numbers and are the numbers captured accurately or not. But if you're going to say people are doing studies and actually capturing numbers, it reveals a whole lot of information about how people operate and think that is different than what people will tell you. And it is pretty fascinating. Also, when you can see how the strings are pulled, whether it's through the financial collapse of 2007 and 8 through negligence on a lot of people's ends and also malice that you can just nuke the entire world's economy or whatever else might be going on in the world. It is pretty amazing to see economics at work.
Yes. So maybe never say never, especially if he lifts a little bit.
Yeah.
Big Andrew Baker says, would you rather all 3 lifts be maxed out at 2x body weight ceiling, so none of your big 3 can go above 2x body weight, or give up doing one of the 3 lifts forever?
Well, maxed out at 2x body weight isn't that much really in the scheme of things.
That's what he's saying. So like they can never be more than that, but you
Yeah.
get to do all 3, or you have to give up doing one of the 3 of them forever.
I could probably just give up doing one of the 3 of them, I think. I could live with that. I could live without deadlifting.
That's what I would say about squatting.
And besides, I know if like squatting's going good, like it's going to drag deadlift along with it. So I just won't test it, I guess, at that point.
I don't mind if my bench maxes out at 2x body weight.
Yeah,
Most
I mean,
people,
that
it's
would
a
be the
pretty good
one,
bench.
but the other 2,
Yeah.
that's not.
Yeah. Oh, actually, we talked about this already. Big Lance says, did you finish Letterkenny? And if so, how many JDs does it get? No, I have not.
How many
Actually
episodes
covered
are
that.
there?
I don't know. There's probably at least like 6 seasons.
Oh,
Someone
there
listening
is.
live probably knows.
So they have a back catalog.
There's a back catalog. 8 seasons. Big Joey said, how's the move to Florida coming along? What's the move to Florida? Did we say moving to Florida?
Is he maybe getting confused about our trip, maybe?
Maybe. We're moving to the Carolinas for a couple days. Big Grant says, are your Strength Co. plates made in the USA?
My Strength Co. plates are made in the USA. Yes, they are.
Lifting and drinking is all I know.
I forgot that one's on there. That's good.
Big Joe, will we see Lift Shorts 2.1 at some point in the next 3.25 years?
There are a lot of numbers out there, but maybe stay tuned.
Yeah, we got something up our sleeves, up our short sleeves. All right, this is from Band of Druthers. He says, is the third DeFay brother taller, stronger, longer hair? Can he eat more chili dogs than Ryan?
Okay, taller than me, but probably slightly shorter than Ryan. Hair, his hair is straight, so his hair looks longer than mine. Whether it actually is or not, I don't know, but that was something when we were at the concert. Leah had some friends when my brother came over and talked to me, and they're like, what is going on? These guys have the longest, blondest hair I've ever seen on 2 men. So his hair, I don't know, his hair might be longer than mine. Looks longer for sure. What was the other one? Eat more chili dogs? Ryan's probably still
What
got
if the
chili-
3 of you had a chili dog eating competition?
Oh, I think Ryan would take that still. I kind of like how that has lived in infamy, his summer of chili dogs.
Yeah.
It was more like a week of chili dogs, actually.
I want him to bring it back.
Was that like, I think that was a couple of years ago now, wasn't it?
It might have been a couple years ago.
Yeah, the summer of chili dogs. Was there another one I missed in there?
I think that's it. Yeah. Bandit Brothers also says, next contest when? We have talked about an idea for a contest. Actually.
Yeah, we're just, the hard part is finding something. Okay, so this is a little inside little tip for everyone out there. We don't want to always run the exact same contest.
Right.
We also want it to be simple and quick to understand what you need to do. We also want something that can make quick, punchy videos.
And include as many
also
people as
encourage
possible.
even like more randoms to get involved.
Yes.
So like it's just challenging thinking of something that casts a wide enough net that also can make cool content. So that's just where we've just been a little slow with figuring out what the best option is.
Yeah, we do have ideas there, and then it's also fitting it in around our other major things, around
Yes,
trips and crew gift cards. So here, actually, maybe we should jump into supporting our supporting members is probably a good time. So this is a relatively new segment of the podcast where we give back to those supporting members. And what I would say is the line in the sand has been drawn. The line in the sand is drawn. So good news. What that means is the final pieces of the puzzle have been put in motion to actually get everyone, all supporting members, their mailing that's going to be coming out. I don't know. You'll like 2 weeks from today, it'll be in your hands, I would guess. You know, maybe even sooner than that, maybe give or take a little bit. It will not be that long until you have this in your hands. So the line in the sand has been drawn. We have gotten stuff ordered and kind of putting some of the final touches on that today, as a matter of fact. But what I would still say is please become a supporting member, because there's a whole lot of reasons to become a supporting member. One of them is you can listen live. You get access to our exclusive Discord community. It's the only way you get in our Discord community. You can listen live like we have people listening right now. It's how you get first and early access to signing up for the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic. So if you're not a supporting member or a Massenomics gym member, there's a real good chance you wouldn't get signed up, because that's how in demand these spots are.
You will for sure not get signed up in the first batch.
You might catch
is enough dropouts happen that your name pops up.
Which is possible.
It is.
Or you could become a supporting member and then avoid that chance. Mm-hmm. And a number of other reasons to become a supporting member, like how we give back each week through this segment, where we talk about Big Tyler Thompson finishing 5th place at Strongman Court Nationals, including an 815-pound Kratos bar deadlift. He won the press medley and got second in the Farmers and qualified for the Arnold. Big Hannah was also there competing. She got 10th at Strongman Court Nationals, including a 455-pound deadlift and second on the Farmers. So they both got second on the Farmers.
Oh, good stuff.
Big Paul and Big Colton were both competing at Strongest on the Farm. Colton got 3rd, Paul got 4th. And Tommy, I think you were in attendance to check that out, weren't you?
I made it just for the very end. Me and my boy made the trip across town and got to see some sandbag action.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, got to catch up with the boys.
And Perfect Little Sweetie himself was there, I think, too.
He was, along with his entire family.
Oh, his sister was competing too, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So that's our supporting member segment.
Oh, I got to add an additional one. Big Grayson.
Yeah, what else you got?
Big Grayson took me for a ride in a Civic Type R, so we got to rip around the city a little bit.
Was it like, were you Paul Walker and he was Vin Diesel?
It was a lot like that. No, it was more he was Paul Walker, I was Vin Diesel. I just kept talking about the axle being ripped off.
Yeah, he's like, you two stood in the garage. You're like,
before we take this car out,
horse at the wheel. And he's like, okay, shut the hell up,
like,
Tommy.
Let's get in the car, man.
Why are you being so dramatic about a car?
Yep.
Yes. Some of those scenes from that movie are absolutely ridiculous when you watch them in hindsight.
I really gotta. I remember like a year ago it was on TV and I watched part of it. I really do need to just go back and watch it like in one sitting, because when I was, I don't know, when did that come up? Probably like when I was in 7th or 8th grade. I remember one summer watching that video like multiple times a week for an entire summer. I just thought it was the best movie ever. I mean, that was what a lot of people, that was what got me into cars. I didn't really care.
We used to be a proper country.
Yes. Like for me growing up, it was just like a lot of people in the Midwest, my idea of cars were like what my dad liked. It was just like old cars, you know?
Yep.
And all of a sudden I see that, I'm like, whoa, these things got like crazy pictures on the side of them and lights and giant ass wings. This is sweet. I didn't know this was possible. And that got me really into cars.
What was one of the primary cars from that first.
Paul Walker's was the Supra. That's what put the Supra.
Yeah,
in
not that. That's not the one. A little bit lamer car than that is what I'm thinking of.
That one geeky guy had like a GTI, like a Jetta or something. What else was there in there? Yuki had like the S2000. Yeah, there was an Eclipse. I think
Eclipse.
Eclipse.
That's
Dude,
what I was thinking of. Yeah, I'm like, the Eclipse.
Dude,
yeah.
I thought, man, talk about a car brand that just dropped off the world. I thought Mitsubishi in like the late 90s, early 2000s was killing it between the Eclipse. I thought those were the coolest cars ever.
Thinking,
what's it? The GT 3000 or whatever the hell they called it.
Yeah.
That was sweet. What was the Evolution? I thought the Lancer Evo was like the coolest thing ever. Those were so awesome.
Do they make cars still?
Oh, well, they actually just, I think they just announced the end of the, I got to get the name right here. It is the,
now almost every Eclipse you see is the junkiest piece of shit you could
they've
ever
all
imagine.
just been destroyed. Because, like, why would anyone like hang on to those also?
Yeah.
It is what the hell is there? Here, I got to go on their website right now and just tell you their vehicles. The Mirage. The Mirage is one of 2 cars left in the country that the starting price is under 20 grand. And they have finally announced the Mirage is done in America after this year. So I believe that leaves the Nissan Versa as the only car that you can buy new under 20 grand in North America.
Wow.
Yeah. But there's a good chance Mitsubishi as a brand won't be in America in like the next few years. They're down to
that's what it's sounding
they're
like.
down to the Outlander and the Eclipse Cross. The Eclipse is now turned into a crossover. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Just like everything, I guess.
Yeah.
Everything's a crossover now.
It was a crossover all along. Always was.
Always has been. Always was a crossover. Yes. You know what else costs over 20 grand or costs under 20 grand here right in America?
Tell me.
Build
Please
Fast
tell
Formula
me.
Supplements. They're just what works, as a matter of fact. Level up your life with innovative, clinically dosed, and research-backed supplements that just work. Like their Full Blitz, fully loaded pre-workout, or their Vaso Blitz, dual nitric oxide support supplement. Like their 80-20 protein powder, their creatine monohydrate, their drink hack. They all work, and you could get a lot of them for under $20,000. Better than some old Mitsubishi that I don't even know who's a Mitsubishi dealer. I don't think
there's one in town, and they're basically a used car dealer. Like it's just
okay.
It's just a used car dealer lot at this point.
Well, another reason to buy Build Fast Formula supplements, you don't have to deal with some sleazy used car salesman. You can go right to their website. It's buildfastformula.com. And then you just add them to your cart. You don't have to. You cut out the middleman. Nobody working on commission there. You just add the supplements to your cart. Check out. Use discount code Massenomics. Save 10%. I bet you can't use discount code Massenomics to save 10% on a Mitsubishi Eclipse crossover.
They're already at the bottom of the barrel. They can't knock any more off them.
There's no room left.
They'd be negative money. They'd have to give you money if they knocked them down anymore.
So check out their supplements at buildfastformula.com.
I had a friend, Pat. I had to go look at Mitsubishi. I'm on Cars and Bids looking at Mitsubishi auctions, and it reminded me I had a friend, Pat. He had a 2009 Mitsubishi Eclipse. And
the Pat I know?
Yes, the Pat you know. And he was driving down the interstate one night. This was probably like 10 years ago. And he had a cow going about 75 miles an hour. And it was really dark out, and I'm sure the headlights just sucked in the car. And his was actually in good shape. It was actually a nice Eclipse, and
not anymore.
Obviously, just destroyed the car. And he felt like he was just a fighter pilot that had just crashed a plane. He said it was like the airbag went off, and he had no clue what was like. He still didn't know he hit a cow. Like he had no idea what had happened. And
what was even going on?
Yeah, he said it was like the craziest experience.
And that's how Schwanni's triple cheeseburgers are made.
Every cow is humanely killed at 80 miles an hour
by a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
That's what's happening to all the
that's how ground beef
that
is
model
made.
I just said? I forgot the one they're getting rid of now. That's what happened to all of those sub $20,000 cars. They've all been totaled.
Yeah, I actually forgot about the name of that also.
Yeah.
The Mirage.
The Mirage. Mirage, yeah.
The Mirage is disappearing.
It has that car has like 14-inch wheels on it. They're like slightly bigger than a bike tire.
Yeah.
Okay. This episode is also brought to you by Barefoot shoes. Most shoes harm your mobility by over-restricting your foot's natural movement. Barefoot shoes are designed with minimal restrictions so your feet can move the way they're supposed to. Move with more strength and confidence in every step. Barefoot Shoes was founded by Chris Duffin, who attributes proper foot biomechanics as foundational to his success in squatting and deadlifting over 1,000 pounds for reps. He helped create the company to provide a minimalist shoe that can be worn for anything from deadlifts to walking your dog. Go to www.barefoot.store to check out the best minimalist shoes available. And while you're there, use code Massenomics to save 10% on your next order. And what's that? You don't know what your next order should be? Get a pair of Ursus low top black canvas gum sole. You will not regret it. Great shoe.
Okay. Back to more Q's and A's.
Yeah, let's do it. I just got to say, Tanner, I could just really picture you driving around town in an Eclipse. I think you need to look into this a little bit.
I wish I had a shitty ass old Eclipse.
I just really picture, I think you're kind of an Eclipse guy the more I think about this. A convertible, too.
I do not think the Eclipse is the car for me.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah. What's the best gauge of a meme's strength?
That is a good question.
Well, likes, shares, views.
Well,
that's not always a perfect indicator, though.
Actually, strength.
I would
actually say there's two categories here. There's enjoyment and there's strength, because strength can be measured pretty easily with metrics, you know, right. I feel like. But that doesn't necessarily mean the actual gauge, the quality of the meme. Because I think there's a lot of memes that
meme
don't
is going to
go off.
involve shitting your pants, 12 brewskis, spending a lot of hours in the gym. Those three things, if it can combine those three, that is a strong meme.
Or like some old World's Strongest Man footage with like a 90s
That's
song.
actually the strongest now. Anytime you can do a montage of old World's Strongest Man footage and incorporate "We Used to Be a Proper Country." The one I did today was in some foreign country, and it was mostly John Paul Sigmarsson. And this time I just used like not even the caption below, but just like the primary thing was just "We used to be a proper country." And someone today goes, "You realize John Paul wasn't American, right?" And I was just like, "Thank you for explaining the joke."
You should have just said, "No."
What? Yes, like yeah, he like really like stick to it. Be like, yeah, he seriously is. He lived in Iceland, but he was American.
His name's John. Like, come on. How much more American do you get? Does his last name have to be Doe? Like,
yes.
Yeah, I like.
If you haven't noticed, if anyone hasn't noticed, I am liking the Strongman.
I do also like the thing of how people talk, sort of like people don't have any original like comments or rebuttals to anything. Like they have to talk. It's kind of in memes. Like they kind of have to talk in memes, but they also have to talk in catchphrases that everyone says. And so it's like, all right, so we did a thing. Like it's like okay, making a Facebook post to announce something. Okay, do I go with "we did a thing"? Do we go with like whatever else? And then it's like, okay, need to make a Facebook post about I need to be really sassy on this one. Let's add "say it louder for the people in the back." Like,
yes.
Everyone has these dumb phrases they have to use, and the "we used to be a proper country" is just the perfect one to say for anything that you see that is contrarian to what's going on right now.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it is. Just say we used to be a proper country.
None of the ones that I do it for could it possibly make any sense, and that's what I like about it. Yeah. But then in a lot of them that go viral, there'll be people chipping in like, "Yeah, bunch of pussies these days."
Yes, exactly. People don't get it. Like they take the bait. They just don't get it.
Right. Okay. Big Sam says, "Lobsters for feet or ducks for hands?"
I don't know. I think lobsters for feet would maybe be a little better. Ducks for hands. I mean, what do you do with ducks for hands?
I need my hands. Yeah. I'm going lobsters for feet. Maybe you can stuff them into shoes and people don't even notice what it is, but how do you cover up ducks on your hands?
Big ass shoes, yeah.
Ducks are loud too.
Mm-hmm. Dirty.
Big Swartz Sports, Big Tom says, Any trips over to Minneapolis soon? Maybe a Crew Wolves game this year.
Ooh.
We do. And we have been talking. We've got some Minnesota trip ideas.
Yes, we've
not
had
a specific plan yet, but
we have
ideas.
an itinerary that if we could just get people to go, we would just do it. But no, for sure. Like there is a ton of awesome things going on over there, and some good people from a modern and historical sense. So we'd love to make the trip work sometime. We just haven't pushed too hard on that one yet.
Yeah. Big, mostly squats Matt says the gym is on fire and you only have time to save one thing. What is it?
I've only had this question before.
I think we maybe have. I don't know. I'll just go from pure monetary value. I'll just grab a pair of York deep dish 45s.
So is Massenomics gym on fire or my home gym on fire?
For you, it's your home gym.
Oh, okay. If my home gym's on fire, then I feel like I should pick something that's...
I feel like you should call the fire department because that means your house is going to be on fire.
My house is going to be on fire next. So I'm going to grab my phone and make a phone call immediately. I'm trying to think of what's more rare or unusual or harder to get in my gym. I don't know because I can't. I would say my plates, but also like grabbing one set of plates is about all I have room for. And grabbing one set of plates isn't super super helpful.
Grab
for
your
me.
Texas Power Bar.
That's the easiest thing to grab. Maybe the Elite FTS squat bar because it's a little more expensive, and I could grab one thing and get that out of there. So maybe that's what I would grab.
Okay.
Or the SS yoke bar.
Big Bryce says most underrated piece of equipment for a home gym. Most underrated.
That is a good question. I always think this is funny because Coop has so many videos about stuff like this, like cheapest items and most underrated. And I feel like the ones he always brings up are like gymnastic rings, which I'm like,
yeah,
it's so low on my list of things. He's like, gymnastic rings and a pull-up bar and like, some just like a thing to do like basic calisthenics type stuff. And it's
right.
That's not the type of training I'm trying to do. So most underrated piece.
I feel like just a standard power bar, rack, and weights are all weighted. They're not underrated.
Yeah, that's why I don't
so
think you can say those
table.
things. Yeah, because it is just like that's just like the bare essentials. Like if you don't have those, we're not even talking about the same game here. I don't know. I would say Keith said a full size deadlift jack. If I'm talking home gyms, I'm going to say just having a deadlift jack of any kind is pretty underrated. Like because you don't need one, you could do something else, but. Right. After being in a commercial gym for years, for about a year, not having any deadlift jacks to now being in my home gym and having even a single one, that is greatly appreciated during workouts. I would also say in comparison to a commercial gym, like having a legit power bar. But again, I'm just assuming if you're having a home gym, like you're going to at least invest in a decent bar. So,
right.
One other one. I really enjoy because most places you go work out now will have a rack of some kind. But what I do really like as a little thing is I do really like the spotter straps instead of, just like the
pin
hard,
pipe.
the pin pipe or whatever, like hard spotter arms. I really have enjoyed those way more. Like when I'm doing stuff, they're just better to set. You don't have to worry about it damaging the bar like at all. And I got the bells of steel ones, which are really cheap compared to like Rogue or more expensive options. So that's like a little thing that maybe people wouldn't have that Brig Brandon says a drink spotter. Obviously that's high up in the running too.
That would be it. I don't know. I don't have a home gym. I'm not a home gym guy, so I guess maybe I'm not qualified to answer, but I don't know. That's a hard question. I'm just going to go drink spotter for lack of being able to
that's a good one.
Come up with anything else.
One other one I could say, some type of wall controller or storage organization.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Because again, I'm just assuming like if you're having a gym and you're like into this, you have like the powerlifting essentials or you understand the importance of those. So something that is underrated for me, just a clean, organized gym is greatly appreciated.
It does remind me though, that was from Big Bryce. Make sure to check out our YouTube video of the garage gym tour of Perfect Little Sweeties that came out this last week, and an awesome, really fun gym tour I think you'd be hard pressed to watch that and not get a few smiles out of the way when you watch Bryce go through his gym. That was a lot of fun to shoot, and it's a lot of fun to watch even, actually.
Yeah, and there's I mean, it's up there as far as uniqueness goes. There's a lot of stuff in there that even if you wanted to go buy it right now, you would have trouble finding, whether it's decor or certain items, because a lot of marketplace finds, a lot of some homemade items. There's just a lot in there.
Big Tyler Thompson and Big McSmashley both also asked when's the next contest, and those two both asked it right in a row. So a lot of next contest questions. Big Katie says, when will I be able to get some of those sweet squats shorts that I missed out on? Well, I don't know that you get exactly that design for right now.
You might not get ones that say squats, but
we do have some sweet shorts. If you liked those, I think you're really going to like what we've got coming, and it won't be long. It's what the monkey said when he got his tail caught in the lawnmower. It won't be long now. Big Chris D says, is there any more vintage equipment you'd like to add to the gym? Is he asking you or me?
I'm assuming you. I don't think I have any vintage equipment.
Is there any vintage equipment you'd really that's high on your list to add to the gym? Can you think of anything at all?
Anything? I mean, you could make the argument that like the pro style dumbbells you have are kind of vintage in a way, but I guess it's your definition of how far back does vintage have to go,
right?
Because those are probably from are the earliest ones there, maybe from the 90s, maybe
probably the 90s, yeah.
It's maybe not quite vintage yet, but I don't know. I mean, those plates are cool and everything, but when I don't have a ton of stuff, I do like how all my stuff matches, you know.
Yes.
So like adding in I wouldn't get anything out of having like a single pair of like milled York deep dish plates. Like that wouldn't do anything for me. So then it's, what do I want is dumbbells, but I also don't want to add a whole dumbbell rack and all that. So that's not high on my list. I don't know if there's anything vintage that I would, even if it popped up, that I would be after.
There's a couple things on my list, nothing burning me right now, but things that I might get eventually. Probably the number one thing is specifically one pair of Schilser. I think sometimes I confuse some of the letter spelling on that, but it's SCHILSER. Schilser 45 Eagle plates. They make them in gray, black, and blue. I do not want the gray. I want a pair of either black or blue is what they were made in.
Change it to Schiller 45 Eagle plates. When I go to images, it's all just dinner plates with pictures of eagles painted on them. So definitely not looking at the right thing. Schilser. Here we go. Okay. Oh yeah, I do remember seeing maybe in Efren's book pictures of these ones.
Yes.
Yeah, they have kind of the outline of an eagle's head on it. Okay, you don't want.
I actually
color?
was saying it wrong. There was an extra S in there. It's Schizler.
There you go.
Yeah. That's why.
So what? Okay, say that again. You don't want what ones though?
Gray.
And you do want what?
Either black or blue. I would prefer the blues, but I would go with black.
So are those painted, or how are they actually that color?
Yeah, I don't know what the process was exactly, but it's painted.
Okay.
Or some sort of finish on it like that. I want those, and then at some point in time, I'm not prepared to spend the money on it, but a pair of marked deep dish York 45s. So the two pairs I have now are unmarked. So the marked has the 45 on the face of it, and they are even more expensive. They're like, the last person I talked to was selling them for over $2,000 for the pair.
Oh my God. That is too much. No.
That's why I haven't bought them.
That is the exact opposite of a value buy. It's like
and Keith, you said you're selling me a pair of your, I think you specifically said your marked pair for $800 when we come visit you. So I think, and I'm sure it was marked.
Are people actually paying $2,000 for those though? Like, is that actually?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And what's the difference in the ones you have right now?
They're marked with a 45 on them.
Like is it
There's
a
a little
large 45?
No, there's a little 45.
I don't know, man. That's
he
really
says 2K for marked is cheap. They're really like 2,200, 2,400 for a good pair.
That's really pushing it for me. That's
yeah.
The other ones,
I think maybe Keith can correct me, but I believe they're a little bit older than the unmarked. I don't know what the timeline is, but they're rarer.
God, I hope there's something about them because
but they might. I don't know if they're rarer and older or just rarer, like they were produced like in the middle of the run. He says slightly newer,
just more rare.
but just rare. Yeah.
The other ones, for the most part, I can see, like, yeah, a lot of the vintage stuff is expensive, but I can kind of like wrap my head around it. That one is starting to get out of like what I can even like.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Over $2,000 a pair.
That's getting out there.
For just 245s that you won't use because they're way too expensive to use.
Some people need to get a hobby, man.
That's the hobby.
No, get a hobby.
But the Shizzler Eagle plates are not, I mean, relatively not that expensive. You can buy a pair of those for like $400.
Oh, and they look way cooler. And
yeah,
I mean, you don't see those in gyms.
No, they look really cool, but they're not made in America is why they're not more expensive.
Well, they're not stamped. That's why you got to stamp them. They forgot to put the stamp on them.
If they said 45 about yay big on them, they'd be worth a couple of grand for sure.
Just the stamp.
Big Jones KJ says, has the Massenomics with Dogs calendar from episode 134 ever been discussed since? I believe it's come up.
Maybe. I mean, if you go to the gym, it's in the gym. It's hanging up in there.
Yeah, it's hanging up in the gym. If you want to see the calendar, you gotta come to the gym. I've got one in my house still too. I think it hangs up in our laundry room.
Yeah. All right. Keith posted a picture here.
You see how they're marked?
Okay, these are
York,
both the same
45.
plate, actually, though.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, those are marked. You see
with
the
just
45?
that little 45. So the ones you have don't have the weight listed on them.
Nope.
Really?
No. Yep.
That's crossed the line for me. That's too far.
Yeah.
That's too far.
Big Chattahoochee says, has it really been a while?
It's been a while.
Well,
We know the answer to
Stain
that.
said yes. Big Matt Sundling said, when is the crossover episode of Unpaid and Underrated and Massenomics? Well, we had Keith on at Home Gym Con.
That's right. Yes. So I guess it's happened.
Yep. And there Keith shared a pair of unmarked.
Yep. It's just those details that you pay big, big money for.
Yeah. The Lift Hard Strength Club. I asked I'm pretty sure he's asking a funny question about Stuart here. And do you think you know what he might call Stuart?
Oh, yeah.
Tommy?
Yeah, I do.
I won't read it on air.
I was actually just thinking about that the other day.
I think we all know what Stuart is, but we won't say it. We won't say it here. Big Amber Hansen from episode
Familiar with her.
442. Yeah, says, what's the weirdest thing someone has ever used their drink spotter for?
That's a good question. Did Dave Tate, he had the fleshlight with the smelling salts in it. Did he ever put that in his drink spotter or not?
I bet it's been in there before.
It's probably.
Hasn't it?
I mean, that's got to be up there as far as an
Yeah.
honor use.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anything like weird. Like
There's probably some weird stuff we don't even know about.
yeah, like people send us videos of just like still holding a drink, but in unusual situations. But that's the point of
Right.
it, is to hold a drink.
Exactly.
I don't know if I've seen a ton of like weird stuff with it.
Yeah. We'll maybe have a reason to see more of that coming up at some point in time here. Big Ruby said, has the line in the sand been drawn? Yes, it has. Big Ashton from Freedom Fitness Equipment says, when are y'all doing another live podcast show? You need more. That was super fun. Well, that was fun at Home Gym Con when we did that. That was actually pretty fun having some people actually live in the audience and like some people that had come specifically to listen. That was a kind of a cool experience that we haven't done otherwise quite like that.
I know. I
before,
kind of forgot about that whole situation.
Yeah, having the people out in the crowd was pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be fun to have a few more people next time.
Yeah,
we could pull that off.
Well, if we did it like at the Lift Hard Leave Easy Classic or something, we could always do that. We've talked about that.
The Best Western, the Ram Coda does have like an auditorium room. Did you see that?
Yeah. My biggest thing on that, though, honestly, if we're talking about it, is like, I don't really want to take an hour and a half of an already full weekend
going on.
Well, it's like I'd rather spend that time
just hanging out,
talking to and hanging out with the people that are there, rather than them sitting there and listen to us do what they do every week. Yeah. I'd like the cooler thing, I think, is we all hang out and talk together rather than like, no, you all shut up and quit hanging out and having fun with each other and sit here and listen to us talk at you.
And not that people wouldn't enjoy that, but to me, that is the beauty of the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic is everyone gets to come together, meet people they haven't met, tell stories, like do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Or we can do, like Matthias said, the Party Cast 3. Just set the
where
mics on and
everyone
say,
gets
go.
30 seconds. Yeah. But it's on a strict timer of like, okay, you four get 2 minutes on the podcast together. Go.
Yep.
And then, next 4. Big Joey says, is the lifting department T going to be the normal blank? That would be nice. It will be a reoccurring blank for sure. We're not going to have everything on any one blank, but we do have more designs of that blank coming.
Yeah.
We also have more designs in our more traditional blank coming because some people don't actually like that quite as well. I, for one, agree with you completely. I love that blank, and other people do too, but not everyone is that their favorite. So we are continuing to do both.
And I also like having the variety in my wardrobe now where I have different fits available outside of just, is this a large or an extra large? Like this shirt does fit completely different and it's a different material. So we will continue to use both going forward, and it will be at our discretion as to what gets printed on what.
I like that shirt you're wearing, actually, that gray Build Fest formula shirt.
I do too, yes.
I like that one. Big Patrick says, what keeps you guys motivated to keep all of this going? That's a good question.
Man, we don't got a choice anymore. It's not even up to us. We just have to keep doing it.
That is part of it. It does actually feel like we have to keep doing it.
I know.
Like it's there's a giant obligation required, and I'm not sure exactly who we're obliged to. The real reason is the money.
Well, I mean, that does help. Like, if we
I know. I'm kind of joking when I say that, but the money is actually is part of the incentive to keep going. Honestly,
it's an incentive for sure.
I'm joking when I say that, but that is part of the equation. So I guess the real answer is there's not one single thing.
Yeah, it's a nice
I mean, honestly, I think we take pride in it succeeding.
Yes, we do, and
I
it is
think
fun. Like, it is fun at the end of the day,
right?
But I was thinking about this. The other day. Okay, for me, my job, like my actual day job, is doing kind of the same stuff, except it's more traditional local businesses. So you take a little less crazy approach. Like, some people want to do some more fun stuff, but let's be real, for most people, like a wild, wacky approach isn't really on brand when they don't have
It doesn't work for most companies.
Right, like, you don't just come out and like do like 4 crazy posts and be like, all right, we're done here. Like, we did like 4 wacky. That's not really what you're doing. It's kind of like confusing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like a nice creative outlet in that, like, I kind of get to do a lot of the same stuff I do right now, but I get to take it to like a level. I get to play in like a whole different area that I don't normally get to play in with like my other clients and my other stuff. So this is what I was thinking about with you. Now, this is not really the world you play in at all, Tanner.
Not at all.
Could you now imagine if you're like, all right, Massenomics is done. You're not making any memes. You're not doing YouTube videos. You're not doing podcasts. Like, you would now essentially have.
I mean, I would have to have some. Like, I literally have to have something. Like, before Massenomics, I got my master's degree because like I kind of have to have something just besides my day job and my
because this
family
is
and friends. Like
not that like work doesn't involve creativity, but this is like a like
mine doesn't. You would not have fun creativity.
You would have zero creative outlet in your life. Like, if this went away, like, I shouldn't say zero. I don't know what everything you do in your life, but
no, pretty much zero. I mean, this is my.
Isn't that
what
weird
I
to
get
think
to
about
do
though? Is like you wouldn't have like that part of like your skills of who you are. Like, that's just like gone if Massenomics wasn't there.
yeah, that is interesting. That's probably a really good answer for me too. It's like someone at Noon Ball, a guy that's a professor, he was talking about what he does, and then he's like, oh, but I write on the side. I write for scholarly journals. He's like a Beowulf expert, as a matter of fact.
Wow,
and we were talking
okay.
about that and getting into it. And he's like, well, what do you do then? Like, because I was like, oh yeah, you got to have something. Like, I was like, you got to have something that like keeps you
I
excited.
just drink a lot of beer, man.
And he's like, well, what about you? And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Get ready,
We're starting
buddy.
to play in like 30 seconds here, so I don't know how to. And he's sort
How
of
old is
aware
this
that.
guy? Just how old is this guy?
He's in his 40s.
Okay,
We
okay.
we BS a lot and stuff.
Okay, I
And,
didn't know if
you
you
know,
said
so
Beowulf expert professor. If we're talking like someone in his 60s.
no. He's like of normal age, of relatively comparable age.
Okay.
Not normal. nothing
So how
normal,
did you
but
break
just
it
like-
down for him quick then?
Well, he is aware of the gym and the lifting and the
Okay.
stuff like that. So I was kind of like, well, and the gym is actually like the smallest part of what goes on. I said, there's this podcast that I've been doing with my co-owner here for like over 9 years every single week, and kind of explain. I'm like, that's like the bigger thing. And then we, these shirts I wear every day, we make these and sell them all over the world. And,
Yep.
so I'm like, that's kind of my thing. And then we started playing basketball and it was over.
Okay.
But that is actually true. I have to have it for that reason. And if it wasn't this, it would have to be something else. Like, honestly.
So this is actually, now that we're talking about this, I'm thinking back on things more. I mean, so much of this stuff is just things I was just already doing to a lesser extent. Like
Right.
before like Instagram was really even a thing, I had like a SLR camera, and I took my camera everywhere with me, and I took pictures, and I was always editing photos and posting albums and posting photos online. I was always doing that. Like, friends always knew if I'd show up to a party, I'd have a camera and I'd take crazy pictures. Like, that was always a thing. I was always kind of like playing around with like making videos with my friends. So most of them never left my computer, but like, it was just, I don't know whether we were like, I have like a personal YouTube channel that has like me like
Right.
fishing with some buddies and like put music
Right.
to it, or like jumping in quarry holes, or like shooting guns. Like, we were always like editing videos and playing around with something like that. And then even with like t-shirts, I remember there was like weekends where like with buddies, we would like, I remember there was a time where we like cut templates into like cardboard and like made these faces and spray painted t-shirts, and like, so like all this stuff was stuff I like to do. I just didn't have like an outlet to really direct it towards.
Right. Yeah,
a
that's what I was
single
going to say.
thing.
It didn't have a direction, and like Massenomics gives all that a very specific direction, and then like really motivation to like do it
Well,
better.
and it makes you
So
do
you're
it,
like,
yes. Because like that
right,
stuff I was describing was like, I like over the course of a year might make like, Keith has already posted my,
Pulled up here.
like over the course of a year, I might like make and edit 2 videos, and one of
Right.
them might get posted somewhere online. The photos, I was pretty good with photos. Like, I would like at least once a month, like put out an album of photos, like usually on Facebook. But yeah, like Massenomics really makes you like be focused and like stick to a schedule and like just pump out content.
Yeah. There's one other thing I was going to say about that too. But I mean, overall, what you're saying is exactly right. I would be a little lost without it at this point, though, for sure. I don't know. Here's what I was going to say in relation to that. We've done a lot of this for a long time, and I don't mean this to sound like egotistical in any way, but I think some of it we've gotten somewhat good at.
Oh, yeah,
Even,
for sure.
some of what we do we're good at. And it's funny because my day job, I don't do that at all. Like what you're pointing out, I couldn't be farther from it. But we do have people. I work in an office that we have like people that manage social media, or like new marketing hires, like that are kind of like fresh out of college and stuff like that. And I silently watch what's going on.
I know more than you.
And
It's the Ron Burgundy meme, or the Parks and Rec
100%.
one.
I say it. I think it. I don't say it out loud
Yep.
because I don't want to ever open Pandora's box of like what, because they'd be like, well, how do you like? What do you mean? I'm like, well,
Please.
but I do. A lot of things come up, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, what are you
that's just
paying this
something
person?
You say. In practice, that does not work. I encounter the same thing all the time where people, I mean, a client that I've worked with or I've done a website for, they're like, oh, we've hired so-and-so to do our social posting for us. I'm like, oh God, have fun with your Happy National Cheeseburger Day post next week. I'm sure that's going to really drive engagement up. Like, that's what your business has been missing. I'm like, yeah, trust me. The biggest account they manage has like 1,000 likes. Like a wild smashing success is for you to get 10 likes on a post. Like we're not playing the same game here, man.
Yeah. Yes. So I do kind of have that. It's just somewhat related to this conversation, but I've experienced that quite regularly at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a number of things that keep us motivated, I guess. Actually,
Yes.
that's a good question. All right, here's another completely different but also interesting question from Iron Pursuit Jim. What is the optimal height to be a powerlifter, and what is the optimal height for a strongman? Tommy, what's your choice?
I think
Specific height.
specific height for powerlifter, I think you're, for the most part, better off if you're under 5'9". I think you're probably best
My
off.
number I had was 5'8". 5'8" is the optimal height.
I said
for,
under
if you have to
5'9", which is 5'8".
Yeah, yeah. That's if you just have to pick a feet and inch mark, I'm going to say 5'8" is the optimal height
because
for a powerlifter.
5'8", I mean, you can be. You
still got enough of a
like,
frame you can put on. You can lift in like the 220 weight class.
yeah.
You could even get up to 242 weight class if you're
and you can
really
still be
thick,
competitive at like the
198, 181,
even like the lower ones.
Yeah, you can span all the competitive weight classes there, and your leverages can be such that at 200 pounds you can be a brick shit house. Where if you're 6'3" at 200 pounds, you're not going to be a brick shit house, honestly.
Yep. And as a strong man, it's probably what are Thor and Brian? Are they like in that 6?
Well, yeah. So they're really tall.
But how tall are they though? Like, are they 6'7",
like
6'8"?
6'7"? Yeah,
See, I was gonna
6'7",
say like that's the very top end. Like you can't say a number bigger than that because that's just too big.
But I don't.
Too tall.
But to me, that's probably not, because they're still kind of outliers. So I'm like, well, that's not what I consider.
Yeah. So, but like optimal is probably closer to like 6'5"-ish. Like
yeah,
really.
I was going to say 6'4".
Yeah.
And I think 6'4" or 6'5" are like, so optimate strongman height, 6'4", 6'5".
I think so. Yeah.
Not to say that some of the best ever aren't taller than that, but I think they're kind of a little bit outliers then almost too.
Yeah.
And not to say that some of the best ever aren't shorter than that, but if you got to pick a number, that's what I think it's about at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a good couple, just bangers of questions
like
coming
those.
in here. Iron Pursuit Jim, is squat, bench, and I don't know if this person knows what he's asking here or if this is a joke or not, but is squat, bench, deadlift the best judge of strength? What would be a better test? I don't feel like we need to answer that question.
I mean, it kind of is like the sport, I guess.
But he's saying, what is the best judge of strength? He's saying it's the gauge of what he's saying.
Okay, I mean, if you're gonna,
He actually asked, what is the best judge of strength? What would be a better test of strength? So he's kind of asking two different questions, actually, the way we've dissected this.
And
before.
also, yeah, because then my next question would be like, well, are we down to a single lift, or do we have 3 lifts, or do we get 7 lifts? Like, what is the parameter of that?
I don't really know that we should get into that one based on all the prior conversations we've had on that one.
Too much other stuff on that.
Yeah. Big Scott Dodzilla, forget sand and pea gravel. You ever add rubber mulch to the bag to fill the bags out tight? No, that's I guess the reason being is so you don't have a sloppy bag and you get it to a certain weight without adding a lot more weight to it. So it makes sense. I've heard of that before.
By volume, you're filling it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that way it's not extra sloppy because some of you kids don't like them extra sloppy.
So like you're saying my 175-pound bag that can actually go up to 220, I could just fill
right.
it up
You get some rubber mulch, maybe add just a few pounds to it, but get it filled out tight.
Nice and tight.
Yeah. Big Evan says, any advice for opening a gym?
Just I do
Yes,
really like.
I have
one thing quick. Scans did put the best judge of strength in its big Z wearing a referee's, and I actually really like that. That's good.
Yeah, that's maybe the best answer anyone's ever had for best judge of strength.
Big Z in a referee shirt. That is good. That's good.
Okay. Any advice for opening a gym? Yes, I'll just summarize it in one word. One contracted word. Don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first one. The second one is if you're going to do it, unless you are like a business whiz and you really understand the long-term play of numbers and money and financing, find something so insanely cheap, which
that's
probably means that doesn't exist in your city.
Yeah, most people, if you're trying to start, just think of it as a business, we're talking about a gym, but it could be anything. If you're not a savvy, long-time experienced business person, my advice for anyone is start off as small as you can while giving it a shot, and
while doing whatever you're doing right now.
Yeah, yes, and leave room for yourself to grow. And now I'm not saying don't. You're gonna have to take some chances and take some risks and stuff like that, but minimize the risk a little bit. Don't allow this to ruin your life if it doesn't do what you hope it's going to do, because I've personally experienced that from multiple people that we've been around throughout the years, that they go all in on this, and then like 2 years later,
I mean, a lot of times it's not even 2 years later.
Right.
It's a year later, and it's like, all right, multiple destroyed relationships and bridges burned, and everyone has to
Who's the guy from Indianapolis that we had on the podcast? Steve Gentili.
Yeah.
Think about it as a business too.
Well,
like he had some really intelligent comments. He's like, you know what? Indianapolis just really felt like he was like, where should I be? And he's like, there's a hole in the market there.
Yeah,
and
he was so serious about starting a
an
gym
intelligent
that he
way.
actually went to different cities in America to identify the market needs. Like most people, when they're starting a gym, they're just like, yeah, I want one in my town. Like they're not actually willing to have the conversation with themselves of like, is there a need in the market for this? Not, I want this in the market. Is there a need in the market for it?
Here's my other one, just even more slightly specific task for someone I would give is create yourself a 12-month cash flow. So you're looking at the next 12 months from the day you start or today's date until 1 year from now, and break it down month by month of money that you're spending in each of those months. So your recurring bills, also including the what you think your budget for equipment purchase is going to be.
Because starting a gym isn't just, I have 50 grand, I will spend all 50 on gym equipment. Like that's not how that works.
And if you look at a 12-month window, you'll get the bigger picture of, how much is your rent going to be in each month? How much is your insurance going to be in each month? How much are your utilities going to be? And then calculate some scenarios on number of members. Do you think you're going to get 20 off the bat and you can grow that to 100 in that first month? Do you think you're going to get, what's best case is you get 60 off the bat and you can grow it to 200? Like, put that in. What's worst case? Mm-hmm. Are you going to get 10 people to sign up the first month and a year from now you only have 50? Like, what does that look like? If that happens, what is your financial position in 12 months? Right.
Yeah. Can you survive on 50? Or if like you have 50 people, are you done in 3 months? Because you got to give yourself some runway here too with anything new.
Right.
Like
that would be my advice is do that and see what you think the numbers look like. And maybe it's okay. This just saying don't is kind of a joke, because I think if you really want to start a gym, you should figure out a way to do it.
Yeah. But also like it's the whole thing of like with any business, like don't do it because it's your passion. Like your passion has no bearing on if a business is going to be successful. It's like do an actual honest objective look at your market and figure out, all right, who am I competing against? Like, is there 5 other powerlifting gyms in my town? Does it need a 6th? Like, is the 6th one the one? Is that what's missing from this whole thing?
What's going to happen if it's your passion and it goes really poorly? You're going to end up hating it and being mad that you ever did it. But you could catch lightning in a bottle, but doing your homework could save yourself a lot of like future bad days.
Yeah, for sure.
From Big Keith, he said, "Does Tommy regret not starting his home gym sooner?"
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to start it when I just moved to town, was living in a townhome. Like I didn't have the room.
So it really wasn't an option. It really wasn't an option, right?
No, it wasn't an option there. And so I moved into my house the very end of October in 2023. And I brought the equipment home from the yard in March of 2024. So that's November, December, January, February, March. I mean, I waited 5 months to start it. Like that's to me actually fairly quick for a guy that said I wasn't ever going to have one. So no, I don't feel like I actually missed out on anything by waiting 5 months.
You kind of did it when you could, really, right?
I mean, I guess
it made sense.
Even in the like I wasn't, I definitely wasn't going to start one in the middle of January when I had no idea. I mean, it was too cold and what was going on. So yeah, I feel like I started it about as soon as I possibly could have. I would say one thing though.
Yeah.
Now knowing that I was, we built a house, and now knowing that I was going to put a home gym in it, would have done a couple things slightly different in the build process, having known that. But hindsight's 2020.
What would you have done?
I mean, I would have had them. I'm in the third stall. I would have had them extend the third stall, do that like double length one.
Yeah.
And then I would have had them just put the heater in right off the bat.
Right.
But you know, both of those things together, I'm sure that probably would add $30,000 to the damn price of the whole thing, which is
probably
also annoying. So yeah, I don't know.
It worked out.
Yeah.
Big Matthias said best and worst cross-country road trip compadres from the podcast guest list. All of you packed into the Malibu. He says all 5 of you packed into the Malibu. So I would say we gotta pick our 3 best to go with us on a trip, and then the 3 worst cross-country partners.
But wait, does that have to be people that were on the podcast before? Or?
Yeah, podcast guest list.
Well, okay. So should we just assume that comfort doesn't matter? It doesn't matter how big they are, how big or small they are. Like we're just fitting. Or
yeah,
are we just talking
let's say
purely
that
company?
doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. We're not worried about like how do these 3 people actually fit in the car.
So let's do worst. Evan Cardone.
Yeah, I don't want him
one
in
of
the
them.
car for a cross country road trip.
I would almost have to think deep in Massenomics lore. I think very interesting listen, and you got to listen to it. But for a cross trip in the car, I'm wondering if John Anderson has to be in consideration of being in that.
I mean, you wouldn't have to worry about talking. That is for sure.
Was he on your list? Did he come to your mind at all?
I'm trying to just because there's so many people.
Well, it's Julian.
Well, that's what I thought you were going to say.
That.
That's what I thought you were going to say was Julian when you were getting to the John Anderson one.
That's actually the right answer, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go there, so that would be up there too. Like I wouldn't want to do a cross country road trip with him. I mean, I feel like those are pretty good answers.
There's maybe someone a better choice than John Anderson though, because he would be pretty funny. At
he'd be super
too.
entertaining. It's just like he would
After a while,
outlast
you'd be
everyone.
like, shut up.
He would outlast everyone. You would just.
Julian and Evan would be good. Oh, there's one other one that comes to my mind. Actually, there's one other one that I'm not gonna name the name on that one to get into the. There is one.
I'd have to go through the list here of.
Yeah. How about best ones though? Then
best. Dr. Mike would be a fun one for sure to have in the car. You'd have a good time there.
Yeah.
I would love taking Chad on a trip with us. Chad would always be a great one. And also Chad and Dr. Mike in a car together is very fun.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah.
So those would be front runners for sure. There's just the sheer number of people that we've had that it gets really hard to I'm just trying to scroll through the list really quick just to see what names jump out. I don't know. Anyone coming to mind for you right away?
You said Dr. Mike and Chad.
Yeah.
No, those are both good choices. There's too many. It's just like, how do you pick from like 300 people that are all really good?
I mean, like Grant, I'd love to have Grant with us too. Like that'd be a ton of fun. Looking through the list, who else here? I mean, honestly, for the most part, most people on the list, I would be totally fine going on a car ride with them. Like that wouldn't bug me at all. It's just if I'm really thinking of like the absolute best of the best.
Yeah. That's just, I think there's just too many though.
I'm seeing so many names here where I'm like, I could just say all these people.
Yeah. It's like choosing your favorite kids when you have 300 kids to choose from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy when you only got 4. I could name those.
Yeah, right.
Favorite
like
kid easy.
Narrow that down, no problem.
Okay. Big Far Outpost says there can only be one: strongman or powerlifting.
Are we talking from a competing, training?
I don't know. Maybe just that
standpoint.
Just purely in existence. Like only one is allowed to exist, so that would encompass everything, competing and spectating.
I don't. I feel like if one is only allowed to exist, I'd maybe say strongman because for the most part you can kind of just train powerlifting, and then when it comes to, then you would just kind of mix in a day of strongman stuff, and then the competing is more interesting and entertaining. So that's maybe the way I would lean if only one could exist, but
that's a tough one, honestly. I don't know.
But with that being said, I have no plans of ever doing a strongman show in the near future.
Right.
So I'm just saying a
That's
purely
tough.
idealized version of the world. Like maybe that is the way it goes. I don't know.
Yeah, I could slice or dice that both ways, and I don't love the answer either way. Big Jen said, if Massenomics had to merge with any fitness adjacent business, who would you pick? One point I would bring up is, if we're using specifically the term merge or not, I'm not keen to merging with anybody because if anything happens, I'm not willing for us to give up like any control. If I'm being
because then
honest
it's no
about it.
fun because it's like, we
Yeah.
got to run this by our manager before we can do this. Like that's the whole point of this, is to not do that whole thing.
Exactly. So if the question is who we would acquire, then that would open up to a lot more reasonable possibilities to me, because if they were like, yep, going out of business sale, do you guys want to take this business over from us? Here's the price tag. Like that's a realistic thing that I could. There's scenarios like that I've thought about before in my head, and there are companies.
We've talked about.
We've talked about companies, and I don't know that we should name that and those, but like, if we straight up merging, like I don't really want to do that. Actually, I don't know if that.
You've been part of mergers where you work, right, Tanner?
They suck, actually. First of all, like in the short term, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's just like the change cycle in general for everything.
And then people slowly quit and hate their jobs and figure out where they're settling into.
and then some slowly land up on the top of the hill and they stick around and love it. And some get at the bottom of the hill and they quit or get fired. And, that actually is exactly what happens. And then nobody likes all the changes at first, and then eventually people either get on board or they get out, and that's kind of how it goes. But nobody likes it in the short term, though. That's just like the fact of the way that works.
No. And I mean, I totally understand that too. So then, if we were
merging, if we were doing something and seceding a lot of power, there better be a lot of money involved.
Well, I was going to say, because now we're not really merging.
Yeah.
I think of that as more of an acquisition, really, is what's going on there.
Like if we would be acquired, then alternatively to us acquiring someone else.
Yeah, because then, we're getting acquired. There's a good chance, though, if we're getting acquired, as long as people aren't total dumbasses, they realize that like we bring a lot of value to the brand. So they're going to have to, at the end of the day, give us a certain amount of like autonomy to do whatever we want, or that is just going to murder the brand. So
if Pillar 4 wanted to acquire us, there would be a price tag where if they're also assuring us that and they're also going to pay us to do this as our full-time job, on top of it.
Yeah.
Basically the Coop scenario.
Yeah.
Yes, there would be a reasonable reason. It would be possible to do that.
Yeah. And there's YouTube channels I follow, and actually it's not working out good for a lot of them, where like private equity comes in and says like, all right, we're investing heavily in your channel. And, I mean, to a certain extent that's cool, but also what ends up happening is that the people that started the channel are the brand. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, then those people leave, and then they just like start the exact same thing called it's the Michael Scott Paper Company thing. Except you did take the company with you because you are the company. So that is where you look at these content creators. They have a lot of power in these equations.
Big Key said, least fun and most fun about doing the podcast with Zoom versus in person. So what's the most fun? What's the best thing about doing it via Zoom, and what's the worst thing about doing it via Zoom?
It actually is kind of nice, 'cause like I'm doing it right now. Like if we're talking about something or whatever, like we can be pulling it up and looking at things where it kind of gives you like a different, I don't know, more
resource
content,
tools,
more ideas, more resources like at your fingertips because you're at the computer, and then it makes the Zoom thing easier too. So like that's probably the best part of it. The worst is that we still do sort of miss the in-person organic thing. And not that it feels like timing. Like when I'm doing this, I really do feel like I'm sitting in a room with you. We're like, it's going so fast here, but you still do miss like some of that in-person thing where, I don't know, it is still a little different at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true. I'm good with those answers, actually. One fun thing is I don't have to drive home from like your house at 11 at night, even when it's just across town.
30 outside.
Yeah, in the winter, that's actually when it sucked.
Those were actually brutal. There's a lot of times where you'd be leaving and like I'd open the door to the outside. I'm like,
glad I don't got to go out there.
Yes.
Yeah. Big Jory says most underrated accessory lift.
Most underrated accessory lift. I'd say the one that's probably like addressing some weakness you have, like, I don't think it's good blanket advice just to say like this is the
Different
one
for every
accessory
person, isn't
everyone
it?
should be
Yeah.
doing. Actually, maybe the one blanket accessory advice, and I'm trying to be more serious about this, is doing some ab work. That's probably the biggest accessory that people leave out, I think. And I'm trying to do some type of ab something every workout now. But other than that,
That's a good answer.
Like the accessories they're not what makes or breaks you, is it?
It's not the bread and butter.
No. If you,
because I guess I could think of specific answers for myself on each of the three lifts.
Same for
but
me.
Then I'm like,
think of
I don't think that's not necessarily true for somebody else. Because I could say deficit deadlifts, but then I'm like, that might not be true for you.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I that's why I go with the ab thing, because that's the one that actually most people just don't do anything for, and
I would say back stuff. Actually, I guess if I had to think of I would be like
what?
But then if I'm really going to say what the lift, I'm not going to say rows, because I think sometimes certain rows suck for some people. Actually, what I would say, I think it's they suck to do, but I think it's because they're effective. I think dumbbell rows are underrated accessory. I'm not going to say barbell rows. I'm not going to say pull-ups, because I think there again, I think each of those variations could be the perfect back accessory for some people, and I actually like both of them. And I'm not going to say pull downs, because everyone does pull downs, so they're not underrated.
When you said back stuff, I was actually thinking, you were going to say something like a 45-degree back raise, or I was.
Well, I love the GHR.
Or GHR.
I love the GHR, but there again, some people don't. Some people will be like, this does not, like, to me, the most underrated is GHR. I don't think enough people do that. But when I say I don't think enough people, really all I'm saying is I think they're good for me. They might not be good for other people at all. Yeah. But I think I'm thinking like a lat exercise.
And that's what most of the exercises you said make me think of more. Not that lat is not your back, but like that, to me, like that's what I categorize those as more of.
I'm going to go dumbbell rows just for the sake of picking an exercise. From extremely mediocre lifter, can we get some insight into Tommy's creative process of designing the new Casey's logo?
Well, I did actually not design the new Casey's logo, but it did come up in the Discord. If you're not, how far does Casey's reach? Like what part of the country?
Well, it's the Midwest, absolutely, right?
Midwest, absolutely. I'm just trying to think of do people on the coast, are they aware of Casey's? I'm looking at the Casey's map. No, it looks like we're talking middle America here. North Dakota down to Texas, South Dakota, that whole line all the way east to Ohio, down to Tennessee. That looks like the area they cover. So the people on the coast, there's a good chance they don't know what we're talking about. Casey's is a gas station on the move. They're popping up like crazy. They're going everywhere. They used to have a real old-timey Casey's General Store logo, and they just refreshed it a little bit, probably in the past 2 years, I think. And it definitely loses it on that nostalgia. But I think as far as the logo goes, to me, it's a win. It's more legible. It's definitely easier to reproduce. It looks.
What about pop factor?
It does pop more because it's just one bold color, just red and white, where the other one had brown shingles, a red stripe, a yellow stripe, white font, and black font, on top of having 3 different words. So this new one does pop more in every way too. I think it's a win objectively as far as a brand goes. Now, subjectively, people might have some nostalgia factor tied to the old one, but I really do think if you're looking at this one objectively, I think it is a win for the most part.
Kind of sounds like you designed the Casey's logo.
Let's just say now that I got a certain job done, I don't have to do much work lately. It's got the paychecks coming in.
Big Casey's, they pay you in all breakfast pizzas, all the breakfast pizzas you can eat.
That's right.
Should we kick out the live listeners for this last little wrap up so they got something to look forward to? While you're doing that, I'll ask the next question here. This is from Big Dylan Coates. How many cigars have each of you enjoyed since the Lift Hard Live Easy Part 2? Tommy,
since
how many cigars?
then, I have had 0.
How many did you enjoy at the lift hard?
I actually didn't have any because about the time the cigars were coming out, I left shortly after that. So
Yeah.
I didn't get in on the cigar train at all.
I haven't had any since then, but I'm pretty much well expecting that we will at Crew Falls.
Oh yeah, they were coming out at Crew Falls last year too, though.
Yeah. That's why I'm saving myself for Crew Falls.
Now watch, it'll be negative 30 degrees and just the worst night in the world to ever.
Well, we
be
kind of
outside.
did it in the bar last time,
Well,
so we'll figure out a
but
way.
it was kind of like an indoor-outdoor
Yeah.
situation.
Right. Where apparently you could smoke.
yeah. There was like open windows somewhere.
And
It would be
that
sweet
was-
though. It would be sweet though if it wasn't terribly cold out. Like
if we could catch maybe even like not 50 mile per hour wind.
well, that was
combination
actually
with
the worst part of it. It wasn't that
Yeah.
cold of a day. It was the wind was absolutely brutal.
That's not the temperature that gets you; it's the wind. That wraps up our questions for
All
this
right.
week. Great set of questions. Actually, the one of my favorite questions was Big Grant asking if our Strength Co plates were made in the USA, and as a matter of fact, they are made in the USA. You can get yourself some Strength Co plates at thestrength.co. It's where they have got their Made in America iron plates, 45s, 35s, 25s, 10s, 5s, 2.5s, 1 1/4s. They're even working on 0.75 pound plates. And of course, they've got the hundos. You know, they keep them things on them. And then Tommy was recently taking photos of their new 45 pound bumpers, now thinner and sleeker than ever before. And those are live and for sale on the website now. You can purchase those. They've also got, we talked about deadlift jacks. They've got those for sale on the site and a number of other smaller accessory items like deadlift mats and things like that. So check them all out at thestrength.co. Also, while you're at it, give their podcast a listen. It's the OK Podcast. You can find it anywhere that podcasts are found, and it's okay.
And this episode is also brought to you by Texas Power Bars. So after you go buy that brand spanking new plate of the set of smooth yet easy to grip plates from the Strength Co., you can head on over to Texas Power Bars and get a great bar to pair up with those plates. And Texas Power Bars are also made in the USA, and I don't think it's just a clever name. They are also made in Texas, as the name says. Right now, if you head on over there, they have a flash sale going on, up to $50 off select bars. We're talking bars like the All-American bar, the bench bar, the bodybuilding bar, the deadlift bar is also in on the mix, and all those bars are available in a variety of finishes and color options. So head on over to TexasPowerBars.com, take advantage of that sale, and while you're there, tell them Massenomics sent you. Thank you, Texas Power Bars.
Thanks, Texas Power Bars. Crew Falls, we talked about that coming up in December. You can still get signed up for Crew Falls. I think we got 28 or 29 signed up now for that.
It's
more and more people
quite
flying
the
in.
Group.
Yeah, there's actually here. Let me tell you some of the states that I think are going to be represented. So Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska, Arizona, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, New York, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and the great state of Canada for number 11. 10 states in a separate country. Yep.
That is pretty good for just a
So
little
far.
weekend party in South Dakota in December.
Yep. So we are looking forward to that. You can get involved if you want to. It's just if you like to have fun, you should come. That's what I would tell you in a nutshell.
You just get yourself here, and you're just along for the ride.
Then
You
the
can do
crew
as much
takes
or
care of
as
the
little
rest
as you want.
Yep. Otherwise, what else do we need? Do we need to talk about anything else this week?
What's in our little notes here? Some of this we can save for later. That's probably about it.
As of right now, well, it's 10:30 on a Monday night. 3-0 in the Massenomics football fantasy football league. So suck it, everybody else.
Wow.
I think there's just 2 of us that are 3-0 now.
Did you say you have Jefferson on your team? I can't
Yep.
remember.
Yep.
He's been putting up some decent numbers, right?
He's been doing well. He hasn't disappointed, I don't think. So everyone else can suck it. I've made no acquisitions. I've made no moves whatsoever. I haven't even made a change to my starting lineup yet. It's just kind of a set it and
it was just
forget
that
it.
good off the bat.
Yeah, I'm like, you just draft him right. You don't have to do any of that fiddle faddling.
Nope. Not needed.
I was talking some trash in our Discord, and then I immediately after it said, and I'm mostly just posting this so then in the following weeks when I never win again, someone can reshare this as a humorous of how bad. Yeah.
Give them something to work with in the future, some content.
Yes.
Do you watch any college football at all, Tanner?
I haven't this year. I'm not. I mean, I do follow the Northern State University Wolves, if that counts.
Sounds like there's not much to follow there this
There
week.
is Augie just gave him a beat down this week. Your Sioux Falls team, Bryce's alma mater, just came and
I saw that.
give him royal beat down.
I do check the scores most weekends, and it looks like it hasn't been a pretty picture for the most part.
Not really. Maybe they can turn it around though. It's better to lose them early than it is late.
Yeah,
That's what I always say.
That's right. Yep. Lose all hope and then gain something later on.
Yeah, it's better to lose them early, and that's I think the strategy that they're employing at this point.
Yeah.
Other than that, I am generally aware of who wins the big games and that Texas is doing quite well. And I used to fancy myself a Georgia fan, but actually all their recent success actually makes me less interested because I'm like, I don't really like to be the guy that, yeah, right. Like, yep.
So, all right, I'm an Alabama fan now.
So I'm like, these guys are too good. I don't like being a fan of a sports team that wins all the time. Yeah. Yeah. How about you?
I mean, I do lately have paid more attention to the storylines of what's going on than I have in the past, but I turn it. It's like on in the background on the weekends a lot, and I'm kind of just like seeing what's happening. But I don't have like a team that like, oh, I got to watch this team. I just like, if anything, I'm trying to look for the matchups of like bigger teams and just hope for good games, or just even if it's not bigger matchups, just hope for good games. And then if it is, like, I'll watch it, but nothing too serious for me really.
In the college scene, this is how it actually went for me when I was younger. I didn't care about any of the local college teams at all, and I just cared about the big national teams. And anymore, it just actually completely flip-flopped. Now I am interested in what SDSU, like how their team is and how they're doing, like what's going on with NDSU, Northern for sure. Like I went to Northern and I didn't care at the time. And now I actually am interested, so it's kind of weird how that changes, and I don't really know why that is. But now I'm like, I don't really care about the national stuff now, and I don't really. It's kind of odd.
I've talked about this before on the show. I think I've had that conundrum of I've always not been an Alabama fan, but then having him have the head coach have the Millbank and the South Dakota connections.
That makes it more interesting to me.
It does. I'm like, there's just like the coach to me is the underdog. So I'm like, there's something about him doing really good that's like,
right. Well, he's from
guys.
Millbank.
Yeah. And then he's from small town South Dakota. Like there's something about that like to me at the end of the day.
And he's my old coach. So.
Right. And he's your old coach. And I mean, you're following up Nick Saban. So like to me, like in every sense of the word, you do seem like an underdog in this equation. So yeah, I never in my life thought I would, but like I do want to see Alabama do good this year, I guess.
Roll damn Tide.
Yeah, no, I won't say that though, but I'll just like quietly hope they do okay.
Yeah. I think that's about it this week, isn't it? We're almost at the 2-hour mark.
I think so.
We don't want to get too long-winded. We got a lot of talking to do later this week on our big trip, so we better save some stuff for that. Give us a 5-star podcast review on Apple Podcasts. We'll continue to keep reading some of those as we get more in. We want to get it onto the road to 600, so we do need a few of you. I know we got new listeners coming in all the time, a bunch of you that have been not giving us 5-star podcast reviews. So please let me guilt you into doing that. Also become a supporting member. You can go to massenomics.com/join. That's where you sign up to get all the perks mentioned prior in this episode. Buy something from our website at massenomics.com. We did have the big sale, but we still have several tees, flags, drink spotters, a few hats, etc. that you can purchase from us there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's one of the most important things I would advocate for right now is subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the videos when you see them, and leave us a comment. You know, if you can leave us a comment, I think that actually does make a little bit difference on the aggregate when we get a bunch of people doing that, and a bunch of people have, so we appreciate everyone that is supporting the YouTube channel. Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can find me at Tanner_Baird, but just please make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.